Hello, I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for joining me on USAWatchdog.com. This is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, December 7th, 2012. And this is also the anniversary of Pearl Harbor, and I just want to acknowledge that and thank all of our servicemen and women around the globe serving the country. Well, today I'm only talking once again about two multifaceted stories, the Middle East, North Africa, and also the United States fiscal problems, which are immense. Let's just start, with Syria. Syria's civil war has so far reportedly taken the lives of more than 40,000 Syrians. It's spilled into Turkey. NATO has put up, air and missile defense batteries up there. It's also spilling into Lebanon. It's a bloody, bloody civil war going on. The rebels, which in some part are backed by Al-Qaeda, are zeroing in and closing in on Damascus. Now, Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, it's come up on intelligence reports that he's doing something with his chemical weapons, moving them around. Is he preparing them or whatever? But President Barack Obama has sternly warned the Syrian president, the Assad regime, not to use chemical weapons on their own people. Also, the Obama administration is undoubtedly and is worried about this enormous stockpile of chemical weapons getting in the hands of Hezbollah, which supports the Assad regime. It's also supported by Iran and also supported by Russia. And then I told you about the rebels, which there's a large component of Al-Qaeda in the Syrian rebels. Now, already it's been widely reported that arms that the United States has, through its allies, have gone into to help the Syrian rebels are also getting into the hands of Al-Qaeda. So this is a colossal mess up there. And then on top of that, there is now a U.S. aircraft carrier group off the Syrian coast to back up President Obama's warning for the Assad regime not to use chemical weapons. Nobody's talking peace. There's going to be a lot more bloodshed before anything is settled there. Let's move down to Israel. You know, the ceasefire between the Israelis and Hamas in Gaza is holding, but there's a new rift going on because the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has decided to start building more settlements. And basically, the two-nation state, the two-state solution, Palestine and Israel, that is really gumming that up because now, once again, they're taking land and they're building settlements on it. The Israeli says it's their land and any deal is going to include this land. The Palestinian says, not so fast, that's our land. At any case, and no matter what side you're on, this is another roadblock to peace. Mahmoud Abbas, won a big victory in the United Nations, getting observer status in the United Nations. Some people say that he should be talking directly to the Israelis. But at any rate, no matter what side you're on, this situation with Israel and the Palestinians isn't getting better. It appears to be getting worse, despite the fact they have a ceasefire. But a ceasefire is all it is. I expect much more bloodshed in that area before things are settled. If we move over to Egypt, we had a presidential election there. Mohamed Morsi was elected the president. They had Arab Spring there a year and a half ago, and Arab Spring has turned into jihadist winter. Now, Morsi is claiming white powers and basically setting himself up as a dictator. Egypt was important in Roman times with Cleopatra, and Egypt is important today. It's 80 million people. They're young. They're well educated. The Suez Canal is there. It's right there in the center of everything in the globe. And now we have more conflict. You have protests going on there, been going on for a few weeks, and now we have counter-protests with the Muslim Brotherhood who backs Morsi, the president, and I think more bloodshed there before anything is straightened out. And if you take a look at the entire Middle East and North Africa, it is a smoldering pot that could crack open and spill out into a global war or at least a wider regional war at any time. It's something to really pay attention to and look out for. Next up, we'll bring it closer to home, the enormous financial problems in the United States. I mean, these guys can't even cut $1 trillion over 10 years. They can't do it. The Republicans don't want to raise taxes on the wealthiest. They say it's a job killer because that's really small business you're taxing. On the other side, the president says he's not signing any bill that doesn't, eliminate these tax breaks. He's not wanting to cut spending. That hurts his base. Raising taxes hurts the Republicans' base. We're at a stalemate. And as a matter of fact, John Boehner said that this week, the Speaker of the House, that they're at a stalemate. Now, a lot of people think, oh, no, they're going to work something out. Everything's going to be okay. I'm not so sure. The best I think we can hope for is some small little deal that ting, ting, ting kicks the can, into, maybe March, and has a little tax increase, a little, maybe some spending cuts. I don't know. But is that going to be enough? A small deal, is that going to be enough for the rating companies, the rating agencies not to cut the United States credit rating once again? That'll drive up borrowing costs, drive up interest rates. Is that a small deal? Is that enough for foreign investors in U.S. Treasuries, which hold up to $10 trillion, $12 trillion in Treasury bonds, liquid U.S. dollar assets? Is that enough for them not to say, hey, they're not going to fix this. We're going to sell these. Our dollars, when we get these back, will be worthless. I don't know. But it's not looking good at all. And then take a look at another financial problem with the U.S., this fiscal cliff. It's not just the fiscal cliff, but it's the debt ceiling problem. We raised the debt ceiling a couple of $1 trillion, a little less than 2 years ago. Now we're hitting that debt ceiling, $16.4 trillion. And when we hit that ceiling, boom, we're out of cash. Are we going to default on our debts? Is the Federal Reserve going to come in and help? Are we going to be able to, are we going to take money out of the federal retirement system to help pay some bills? Who knows? The president wants that to be a separate negotiation. The debt ceiling and the fiscal cliff, the budget cut, tax increasing, spending cuts, totally separate from the debt ceiling. The Republicans laugh at him. It's a total non-starter. I just don't see how they get even any deal, let alone a short-term deal, let alone a big deal, which actually addresses our real problems. And the other thing that you do not hear, you didn't hear about it in the election from Democrats or Republicans, you're not hearing it now as both sides jockey for position and try to lay blame and try to make their case. $40 billion a month banker bailout. Why are we letting that go on? We have all these foreign wars that we have, and now we have a carrier group off the coast of Syria. Nobody's talking about that. And then there's new news about how the unemployment situation is getting worse. There has been no recovery. I've been telling you this for a couple of years now. There is no real recovery. There's recovery for a few people, but basically what we have is bottom bouncing. Now, some of it is the economy's bad. They're laying off people. I mean, Hostess Brands going into bankruptcy, couldn't make a deal with its unions. That's laying off 18,000 in one shot. City Group laying off another 11,000 employees to get their house in order. The economy's not good. Add that to companies cutting back employees to get ready for Obamacare, cutting hours of employees so they don't have to give them health care. Those employees won't show up in the numbers, but the GDP will certainly shrink for this. I don't see a good ending to this. I just don't. So folks have to be out there to take a look at the facts and try to do something to protect themselves. And finally, I want to, basically promote something and give a thank you. I want to promote Greg Manarino. He's going to talk more about the dollar, the oil, inflation. He's going to talk more about it on Monday. He's a favorite on the site, a favorite of mine too. Greg Manarino will be up Monday on USAWatchdog.com. And also, I wanted to thank people. About a month ago, I put a donations button up on the site. Now, this money goes directly to offset costs of running this site. And I want to thank the several people who actually contributed a little money to help out with the expenses of the site. Now, I don't care whether you gave money or not. I appreciate everybody who comes to the site, whether you just come to read the articles, or you click on an ad, or you go to YouTube and you watch a commercial before you see the, the video, whatever. I appreciate everybody and anybody who supports USAWatchdog.com. That's the way I see it. Thank you again for supporting the site. I'm Greg Hunter.